What?
What?
I appreciate you asking. The only thing I would suggest you change is the APR, just put lowercase r. And for the NY, that big Y, I would put a little t. And again, I'm going to change it where you don't have a negative exponent. So I would change it to payment is equal to T times R over N over 1 minus 1 plus 1 over 1 plus R over N raised to the NT power. And this I would change to T, and this to R. One plus R over N.
No, the one you very
R over N.
for that.
1 over 1 plus 1 plus, that should be, I'm sorry, I wish you were right. This right here is over 1, so I'm going to rewrite mine as equals T R of N over 1 minus 1 over 1 plus R over N raised to N power. So let's look at that. All I did was this. And what I'm going to try to do is copy that. Somebody tell me that information we had the other day. What did we have today? Did anybody write it down? Nothing. I'll do it. Cause too much confusion. Okay, that's the 103.
So not the one where someone got $500,000?
No, I think I changed it, but the problem, I need to look at the, here it is, this is it. It's the 110 book. I can't tell what book this is. Yeah, algebra entry. I'm just going to find that page. Let's see, 5.6. Okay, I think this is it right here. I don't know if this is it or not. Let's just see what they get. Alright, yeah. $24,000. So we buy something for $24,000. And we pay $4,000. The balance will be paid off at 36 equal monthly installments. 36 at 4.5. So write that down. Sneak it out. Bear with me. Alright. So basically, your principal is 20,000. And the balance is paid off in 36 equal payments. So in this case, it looks like to me that N is going to be 12 and T is going to be how many years? 3 years. Well, yeah, I didn't get that a while ago, and that's why they're using I, and I don't want to do that. And I didn't catch that the other day. At 4.5%, it's going to be 0.045, so R is equal to 0.045. And this is what you need to plug and chug into that. Now, you can actually do this without even writing anything down. Take the calculator, and for those of you the other day, they are going ahead and calculating using R and N, not R and N, but N, I'm sorry, N and T. This right here, they're saying N times T, and that's equal to some form of I. I don't know what they're using I for. But N times T is 12 times 3, which is what?
36.
36. And see, I wasn't catching that the other day, and it was messing me up because this is the original, this right here is the original type problem, and they're taking I and throwing it in there, and it messed me up. So, all right. So I'm going to show you how to do it with your calculator and not even have to write it down. So you take your handy dandy calculator. And I'm going to start with this R over N right here. So what's R over N? Well, 0.045 over 12. 0.045 divided by 12. And that's equal to that number right there. I'm going to add it to 1. And then I'm going to divide 1 by that number. Okay, and then I'm going to raise it to the nt power. So 1 divided by that number is that number. And I'm going to raise that to the nt, which would be 12 times 3, which is 36. And then I'm going to subtract that number from 1. And I get 0.12606. And I'm going to stow where you buy bread in the memory. Alpha D. And that's for denominator. And now I take my principal, which is 20,000, and multiply by R over N, which is 0.045 over 12. And that's my numerator. And I'm going to divide that numerator by my denominator. And I get 594.94. That's your monthly payment. Now you take 594.94 and multiply by 36 payments. You're actually paying $21,417. So minus what you borrowed, which is called the principal. And how much interest are you paying on $20,000? $1,417.80. I see there's not a problem doing the math when you've got a problem. I just ain't used to seeing that I. And that is, see what they got. $594, and there's your interest right there. Question. Now let's do a house. And let's do a credit card. Hopefully that'll help you out. So let's do a house. I'll make up something. Dang old. I'm familiar with dang old house payment. Let's go back to my handy dandy. There we go. And move this over. And I didn't want to do that. Oh well. Do this again. And paste. Alright, now let's say that you buy a house. Let's say that it's let's say you buy a moderate house around 80,000. Let's say your credit sucks. You didn't get a 4% interest. You got 8% interest. Most houses are either 20, 30 years. So we'll say 20 years. And we all know what kind of payments we make. What are they called? Monthly payments. Crack it out. See how much that house is really going to cost. Oh.
Point zero or
0.08. Alright, so I'm going to pull up my handy dandy calculator. And this is for students that were on the calculator drill team in high school. So this is your type problem. So dang old 0.08 divided by 12, and add that to what? 1. Divide 1 by that number. Raise that number to the what? Well, n is 12, 240. And that's that number, and 1 minus that number is that number, and that's your denominator. So, STO, alpha D, and let's do the numerator. So that's 80,000 times, parentheses, 0.08 divided by 12. Oops. Supposed to be a parenthesis there. Second function. Insert. And delete. 0.08, sorry. Insert again, dork. And enter. And divide that by, hang on, alpha D. So your payment's going to be around $670. Not too bad. I mean, credit's not too good. It'd be less than that if it was 4% instead of 8%. So multiply that by dang old 240 payments. And subtract your principal from that. What was it, 80,000? Starting to feel bad? You pay just about double what you borrow when you buy something as big as a house. Why? Because you're borrowing what? Money. You're not borrowing a lawnmower. Okay? Money is about the most what? Important thing you could borrow besides gold or silver. Alright? Now, what if your credit was good? You got a 4% loan. Well, remember, you paid half, alright? You pretty much paid for 2 houses. Alright? What if you was to take this to 4? Well, let's see. Let's see what happens. Take your handy dandy calculator. And let's punch it in and see. The 0.04 divided by 12 plus 1. 1 divided by inverse answer. And raise that to the what? 240th power. And then 1 minus that number is that number. Stow, alpha, D. And then take 80,000 and multiply by parentheses 0.04 divided by 12. And that's equal to that. And divide by alpha D. $484. What was the payment last time? $670? That's a car payment difference, isn't it? I mean, somebody takes $670 minus $484. How much is that? $220? I don't know. I can't add or subtract. What is it? That's not rhetorical. I'm asking y'all to do that. 670 minus 480. Small car payment. Dang old refrigerator payment. Something. Just because your dadgum credit is better. Now multiply that by 240 minus 80,000. Oops, that's 800,000 to work. That's not a whole house. When I refinanced my house last year, when I got the house back and got the divorce settled, I had to refinance the house, change name. I got locked in at 4%. You think I'm going to refinance my house anytime soon? Why? 4% is about the lowest you're going to get, barring a federal depression. In the United States depression like the 20s. 4% is about as low as you're going to get. So I'm not going to refinance anytime soon. And it pays to have good what? Now, how do you get good credit? You stay away from credit cards. Anybody want to challenge me on that? Let's say you go out and you're at Clemson and you go to the student union and they're giving away free t-shirts if you put in an application for a Capital One card, which they do. And then you get a Capital One card and you feel great about yourself. And you go out and you spend. And you get that thing up to about $15,000. Okay? Now, y'all say to yourself, Hubert, you're crazy. Nobody's going to do that. You're looking at somebody that did it. So don't say you ain't going to do it. So there's a bunch of Clemson students that will do it, and there's a bunch of other students that's going to do it. Now, when you get a credit card, it's 0%. Until you do what? Until you put something on it. And then when you put something on it, it jumps up to 24% interest. Some 29%. Not to mention the late fees, and then the what? Over limit fees, which are about $30 to $50 a pop. So if you don't pay your, let's say your payment is March 3rd. If you don't make your payment by March 3rd, that's another $30 to $50 added on to that $15,000. You already over the limit, because the limit's $15,000. So that $50 that they just tacked on, guess what it constitutes? And over the limit fee, which is another $50. So now you're over $15,100. So just telling you, you better watch out. 24%. Let's say that you pay the minimum payment. All right. Let's say you pay the minimum payment, and let's see what the minimum payment is. All right. Let's go with 24%, and let's say it's going to take you 10 years to get that sucker paid off. And of course, monthly payments, 12 monthly payments. So go ahead and figure that. 15,000. Let's say that you've been making minimum payments, and you've been charging and making minimum payments, but you hadn't paid anything off really, because you buy groceries on the credit card, and then you pay $50 on it. Grocery bill is $75. Well, you basically accumulated up to the limit. And you got it to the limit, and you say, oh my gosh, I need to start paying this thing off and not using it anymore.
Do you know that, if you ask the bank to reverse your overdraft fees?
Oh yeah. They'll what?
Reverse your overdraft?
What do you mean reverse it?
They'll do that.
Oh yeah. But then you're going to have checks bounce and you're going to be embarrassed. I love overdraft protection, especially when I forget something and I ain't got no money in the bank and I just wrote a check for $125. Yeah, I'm glad it's there. Dang old auto payment comes out and I forget about it. But I got dang old savings account, dang old steers, dang old savings account, transfer money. Don't know what I'd do without them steers. What the hell are you talking about? Nothing. It's your parents' fault.
We all know the general cow.
And some people don't. Some people think a male cow has horns. People actually think that. All right. So we take our handy dandy calculator. And we do our 0.24 divided by dang old 12 equals plus 1 equals 1 divided by inverse answer is that raised to the 10 times be 120 is that, and 1 minus inverse answer is equal to that. And we stow that alpha D. And then we take our 10,000 or our 15,000 and we multiply that, multiply that by 0.24 divided by 12, and that gives us that number, and then we divide that by alpha D, and that gives us a payment of $330, and that's what they say is the minimum payment. Now chances are they ain't going to say $330 is the minimum payment. That's for us to do what? Pay this thing off in 10 years. Do they want you to pay it off in 10 years? Oh no, we'll get you down to $20 and you can pay until you pay it off. They won't tell you how long it'll take you to pay it off at $20 a month. Take you about 15,000 years to pay it off at $20 a month. So $330, and by the time you get through paying that sucker off, 120 minus 15,000, you just paid that credit card company $24,686. And that's if you say to yourself, I'm going to pay this thing off in 10 years, and you run it through here, and you do this, and you say, okay, I'm going to pay you off. I'm going to pay this thing off. So you pay $350 a month until you get it paid off, which you get it paid off a little bit earlier. Credit card company don't want you to do that. How about that used car salesman? Does he want you to pay it off in a couple of years or 6 or 8 years? 6 or 8, because you're paying him more money. So that new car dealer, what is the first thing a car salesman is going to ask you? How low do you want your what? Payment. Why do they want you to have low payments? This is why. So they can make more money. You go to a used car salesman and say, he goes, how much do you want your payments to be? I don't know, maybe $600 a month. They'll have a heart attack because they ain't gonna make no money at $600 a month. They're gonna have to finagle the numbers to make some money at $600 a month for a $200 or $300 car payment. Okay, so don't fall for that low payment thing. Don't fall for that at all, because that's how you get caught, especially with the credit cards. Now a lot of people say, well, Hubert, you got to have a credit card. Yeah, I agree with that. Go through your bank, get your debit card, and get you a credit card through your bank. Those things that come through the mail that says $15,000 for 0% interest, stuff everything back in there and send it back to them, because you don't want it. Because they're going to get you. They're going to get you on this, and they're going to get you on the over limit fees. They're going to get you on the late fees. They're going to get you on some kind of interest fees. They're going to get you 3 or 4 different ways. By the time you get through, it's going to take an act of Congress to get them paid off. I went through it. I had about 6 or 8 of them. Probably around $60,000 to $75,000 I had to pay off. Don't fall for it. I had nobody telling me. Well, I did. My dad told me not to, but I didn't listen to it because I knew everything. But none of y'all guys are like that, right? No males in here know everything, right? Okay? Question on that one. This right here would be one of those formulas. I don't care if you fail this class, you need to know how to use this formula. Right here. Just like the compound interest formula, you need to know how to use it. Question, great, complaint. So my advice to you on credit cards, get you a credit card. If it gets above a $10,000 limit, don't tell them I don't want it. Say, you need to take my limit back down to $10,000. We giving you $15,000, I don't want it. Take it down to $800. Because what do you need a credit card for anyway? Emergencies. You going down to Panama City and your transmission falls out of your truck or your car. You're going to need something to pay for the transmission to be fixed while you're down there. That's what you need a credit card for. You don't need a credit card to go out and buy groceries every other day. That's not what a credit card's for. You will get your lunch eaten if you do that. Okay? Question on that one. My consulting fee for finance, just I'll send you a bill. Financial consultant. All right, questions. That's it. That's chapter 4 and chapter 5. I'm not going to give you any more out of chapter 4 and chapter 5 because I want to move on to some more stuff next week on unit 4. Now, what's going to be on the test? Well, we'll show you right quick. Let me pull it up and let you see it. It's on here. You just have to look when I pull it up till I done forgot. The chapter 4 test, which is unit 3, chapter 4. I broke it up into 2 tests. Unit 3, chapter 4 is due on the 2nd. Unit 3, Chapter 5 is due on the what? 7th, so a week later. You can do all of them at one time, or you can do them separately. And the homework will correspond pretty much with those dates. So you can look it up and see what the homework is. Chapter 4. Of course, the vertical, we're not going to go through and do each one. We're just going to go through because I need to go through both tests. So write that down. This one is vertical, horizontal, or oblique asymptotes. That's where you look at the degree of the numerator and the degree of the denominator. These are the same, so you're going to end up using the coefficient. If you plug 0 in for this, you get 9. You plug in 0 in for this, you get 65. Negative over negative is a positive. So your answer is going to be 9 over 65. Whatever that comes out to be, it may be 3. I don't know if you can divide 3. No, 3, 2. Can't divide 3 into it. 9, no. So it's going to be 9 over 65. So that's one way of doing it. And it's going to ask about the vertical asymptotes. Vertical asymptotes. Set denominator equal to what? 0. Now, before you do that, you need to factor the top and factor the bottom to see if you get anything that what? Cancels. Like a x minus 2 up here or x minus 2 down here, they would cancel. Then you would set the denominator equal to 0. So this one would be x minus 1, no, x minus 9, x plus 1. And then this would be something, and you see if anything cancels. We did a couple like this. So look back in your chapter 4 notes, and we did a couple of these. Not supposed to bunch them together. All right, identify any horizontal and vertical asymptotes. What are these called? These vertical lash lines, those are vertical asymptotes. So what's your vertical asymptotes? -3 and what? +3. Your horizontal asymptote is -4. So it'll be something like this one. No, let's say x, the y, somewhere y. Okay, choose the correct asymptotes below. Y is equal to -4 and x is equal to +3. So D. What is the domain of f? Well, you start at the left, -infinity to what? Do you touch -3? No. So it's a parenthesis. Then from -3 to what? 3, and then from 3 to +infinity. So whichever one has 3 increments, that's it. Dang old 3 increments right here. 1, 2, 3. Dang old, that's the answer. That's a gimme. This question right here, nobody should miss. No calculating, just look at it. Okay? Find an equation for the rational function. Well, what is this? Is it a volcano? No, it's half of a volcano. So half of a volcano means that it's 1 over what? X. 1 over x squared is a volcano. That would be right here. So this is 1 over x. 1 over x something. All right? So we've got a horizontal shift of 1 to the right. So that'd be a -1, right? So on the bottom is x minus 1 in parentheses. And that'll give you a little bit to go on right there. Okay? All right, look at this one. Now, if you want to, you can graph this on a graph if you want to. Graph it on your graphing calculator. It'll take you a minute or two, but go ahead. That'd probably be the best thing to do anyways. Take your handy dandy calculator. And y is, now you got to know how to type it in. You got to have enough parentheses. Y is equal to parenthesis, x. I use these things all the time, really. Plus 5 quantity squared divided by parentheses x minus 3 times x plus 8. I hope it don't blow up. I love all these parentheses. Right. So you're going to have to blow it up a little bit and get out. So zoom back, zoom out. And probably, I'm going to see if I got anything. Yeah, probably got to put another set of parentheses. Probably around that square. So let me put a parenthesis right there.
Yeah, you have to put a parenthesis there to close the whole.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to add one right here. Hold on, second, insert parentheses here, and then right here. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, you have to have one there.
Yeah. Now let's try it. And that's the same one. I don't know why it's not showing up like this one. It should show up like this one. Huh. Make sure nothing cancels. X plus 5 quality squared. No, nothing cancels. You got a vertical asymptote at positive 3 and negative 8. So let's just look and see. Positive 3 and negative 8. You're going to have to blow it up because, gosh, let's see. That's 5, 10, 15. So positive 3, negative 8. That looks good. Let's see what this one looks like. Positive 3, negative 8. That looks okay. Check, make sure all of them got a vertical. Positive 3, negative 8, and this one's probably the same too. Oh wait. Positive 3, negative 8. Okay, that looks good. So look at your horizontal asymptote. Horizontal asymptote. This is going to be, and we're going to have to take your algebra. Take your algebra. Let me go ahead and do that for you. Maybe another way to type it in is do the actual polynomials. Might be easier. So this is going to be x plus 5 times x plus 5, which is going to be x plus 5 quantity squared is x squared plus 10 be 2, 20x plus what? 25 over, and then this is going to be x squared plus 5x minus 24. So these go out and these go out, plug 0 in right there. You get 25, negative 25 over 24, which is negative 1 and 1/24. So your vertical asymptote is negative, so it looks like it's going to be this one right here. No, right here. There it is. Because your vertical asymptote is right here, it's right below.
How does the 5x cancel out? How does the x
Plug in 0. What is 0 for x? 0 squared is what? 0. 20 times 0 is what? X, 20, 0, 0. So zeros, they go away. This is, I'm finding your vertical asymptote. Right here. Our horizontal asymptote is what? 3 and what? Negative 8. So all these are 3 and negative 8. I told you all that. So now you've got to find the vertical asymptote to distinguish which of these graphs is correct. The only negative vertical asymptote is right here. Unless you look at this one. Why is it not these two? They have a positive, there's a positive, and there's a positive. So it's not these two. It's one of these two. And if that one looks negative, I can't tell. You got to blow that one up. I can't tell if that one is as far down as that one. You have to look at the two. But that's how you do it. So on that one, it's probably going to be this one. I'm going to pull this one up so you can see it. It's positive, isn't it? Yeah, it's positive. So what's this one? Let me look at that again. Yeah, it's over at 0. Can't tell it much, but it's over. Go away. Ah, there. Okay, number 10. Same thing here. 10x squared. Okay, this one. Okay, the domain. What's the domain of this one? Well, you got a fraction, so you got to set that equal to 0. So x squared is, or x to the fourth is equal to -1, and that's not possible. Why? Exactly. So your domain is, you can't get. I'm looking to see. Okay, we got to figure it. Got to have 0. I'm thinking out loud here. You've got x to the fourth plus 1 is equal to 0. X to the fourth is equal to -1, and take the square root of both. You can't do that, so that does not exist. So you better watch out with your domain here, because your domain is probably going to be all real numbers, because you have nothing. Is there anything that you could put into this that won't, that's what I'm trying to say, what does not exist? Is there anything you will write that, can I plug in a -2? Yes. Can I plug in a +2? Yes. Can I plug in a 0.5? Yes. So the domain is all real numbers, even though it is a fraction, but the reason that is because this x is what? Raised to the fourth power, so anything, you can plug anything you want to in there. So that is all real numbers. The range, now this is dependent upon the vertical asymptote. This guy is got a degree equal to 2. This guy has a degree equal to what? 4. If the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator, what's the vertical asymptote? Look at your rules. The vertical asymptote should be 0. Check it and see. And so you find where a vertical asymptote is 0. Is this one 0? Yes or no? No, why? It goes over it, see? What does an asymptote do? Does your function touch the vertical or horizontal asymptote? Yes or no? It does not. This one goes over it, so it's not that one. So take that one out. And that's what they're wanting you to do on these things. They're wanting you to see. Now, this one looks like it goes over, but you need to look at it. Does it? Yes, right here. So that's not it. This one, be careful, because that's 1. Vertical asymptote is 1, and it looks like it actually touches it. This one may be it, because that's a vertical asymptote of 0, but check it to make sure. It touches it. It looks like it touches it, but you've got to look real close. And this, it just goes on and on and on. And this goes on and on and on. It doesn't. And this, you got to go back and check your, I'm sorry, you got to go back and check your test for vertical asymptote. This one looks like 1 is the vertical asymptote. Yeah, 1 is the vertical asymptote. So I'd say your answer is what? I would say it's the one that we said. Yeah, D. I'd say it's D. You say it's D? Why? Oh, I didn't. I thought it touched it. It did. We said it touched it. Let's see where. Yeah, but it goes over the. If you'll look, and I'm just saying, right here, it actually goes over. I don't know. I could see your point there. Yeah, negative. That bothers me right there, because it's actually, if you look close enough, I can't blow it up. But it's going over.
That controls what?
It's going over.
That's insane.
I know what you're saying, But we know that the horizontal asymptote is, it cannot touch or go over 0. So that's why I'm saying it might not be. It could be, I don't know, but I think my answer, if I was going to answer this, I probably would go with, and you could put it in your graphing calculator also. Did I hit freeze?
In the calculator, would you,
Hold on a minute. Let me do one thing at a time. There. Well, we said the domain is all reals. Negative infinity to positive infinity. I ain't worried about that. The range for this one would be 0 to positive infinity. This one would be negative infinity to 0. But it says, it's not asking, is it? It's not even asking. No, it's not asking for the vertical asymptotes, but that's what we're looking for. The graph is symmetrical. Let's see what happens when we plug it in. I don't know if it'll graph it or not. Let's see what happens. Huh?
This lane's froze.
Did I freeze? Okay. All right. So let's type it in. Y is equal to parenthesis, negative 10x squared, negative 10x squared, close parenthesis, and then open parenthesis divided by, oops, let's see, close parenthesis divided by, let's see, let's take and x to the 4th plus 1, close parenthesis, delete, and graph. And it blows up. Okay, zoom out. We're waiting. What? Sorry. Sorry. Zoom in. Negative 10. Let's go with negative 10 to positive 10. And negative 5 to 20. All right, you were right. But it doesn't look right when you do that. Let's look up here and let's look in a little bit more and let's see where I think they got it drawn wrong, because you can't approach 0 and go over it. See, even this one doesn't go over like this one does. They've got it drawn wrong. I'm going to go in one more time. Just be careful on these. I think I might as well quit. There. Shows it touching it. Okay. We'll go with B. You were right. And that would be negative infinity to what? Negative infinity to 0. And then this symmetrical around the y-axis. And it asks for the asymptote. Huh?
What did you say the range was?
Negative, oh, I'm sorry, 6 to 0. How about that? Negative 6 to 0. And choose the correct asymptotes. We said that the horizontal asymptote, there is no horizontal, but the vertical asymptote will be 0. So x is equal to 0, or y is equal to 0. X is equal to 0. And that would be that. Okay? So
So be careful, because like I say, this picture is a little bit deceptive. They need to check that. They need to bring that picture down. They need to bring it down just a little bit so that it's barely touching the x-axis. All right, next one. Is that it? Oh, okay, yes, leave the question. Okay, next one. Okay, is this a volcano? Yes. So you know it's either B or C. Which one is it not? It's not B because what? Exactly. So I'd say it's C. And it's going to ask you for those, it may ask you for the domain and range, and that's easy. The domain is all real numbers except for 3, -3, and then the range is 0 to what? Infinity.
So on the last one that has vertical axis of 0,
Mm-hmm.
is the domain not going to be...
It won't touch
yeah,
0.
touch,
It's not supposed to touch, but you saw what the graph did. But, you know, when the degree of the numerator is the same as the degree of the denominator, the vertical asymptote is 0. And that means that the function is going towards 0, but it's not what? Touching 0. So it would be a parenthesis. That picture didn't show that. The picture showed it going over.
So the domain is over.
Okay, the domain for that one would be because there was no vertical asymptotes. Let's go back. Let me go back. Right here. See, there's no vertical asymptotes. Now there's a horizontal asymptote. The horizontal asymptote is 0.
Don't you just say there was vertical asymptote 0?
Oh, then I meant horizontal. It's right here. Y is equal. X is equal. No, Y is equal. Right there. Y is equal to 0 is the x-axis. Okay? There is no vertical axis. There is no. So therefore, your range is from negative infinity or whatever it was, 6, to 0, but it doesn't touch 0. I might have picked the wrong words. I'm sorry. Trying to get through the test before y'all start having conniptions about leaving. Let's see. Where were we? Okay, we did that one. That's a volcano. That's a gimme pretty much. You don't have to think much on this one. Match the rational function with the appropriate description. Well, first of all, you got the same degree, so your your horizontal asymptote is 0. Your vertical asymptote is what? -7, and that's it. So I guess this is it. The vertical asymptote is -7, so that's a gimme. Use division to rewrite the rational expression x into this. Sketch the graph by, okay, x will go into 4x 4 times. So, and that'll leave 4x and 12, and then this will be the remainder right here. So this will be 4, and then the remainder, what's 4 times? Let's see, 4 times x is 4x, 4 times -3 is -12, but you always subtract. So that would make a -12 a +12, so that would be 1. You got to use long division there. And then sketch the graph. This right here is 1 over x minus 3, so that means you got a vertical asymptote at where? At 3, Hubert. That's right. So which one is 3? Which one is not 3? This one may be 3 because it's on the right side, and this one may be 3. But which one, let's see, which one should be, let's see, this is 4x. So 4 is your horizontal asymptote, so that means y is equal to 4, so that means D is your answer because of that 4 right there. 4 is right there. So that one's not it. And they tell you to do it on the graphing calculator to check your answer. And you'll pick the one that looks like the one that we just did. So it would be, looks like this one right here, right? Yeah. I should take some of those off. Y'all don't need those anymore, do you? No comment? Huh? Yeah, let's touch you. All right, volcano, but this one has a horizontal shift of what? 10 which way? To the right. So you're looking for 10 to the right. Which one is it? Good job. And you can do the domain and range based on that. The domain is negative infinity to 10, from 10 to positive infinity. That's the domain. Range is from 0 to infinity. Can't touch 0, can't touch 10. That's a good problem because it's not confusing. That other problem is misleading. And 20. Let's see. Okay? What time is it? 3:50? All right, we'll go over another test next time, okay? Y'all get out of here. Let me call the roll because of the bureaucrats. They'll get mad if I don't take the roll. Y'all be getting emails. Did I turn my... I didn't turn my... I thought, yeah, I did. There we go.